I'm Maren Maddry. I'm really excited to be here with you this week at Opera Camp. You might remember me from last year. I was also at last year's Opera Camp and I taught a short master class. So I'm really happy to join you again this year. So I've been singing opera since I was 17. That's the first time I ever heard an opera, and I was in a program that was teaching classical voice at the time. So that's how I got my start. And today, in this short video, I'm basically going to go through what I would go through for myself, and I also teach private voice. And so I'm going to go through kind of like what my technique for good singing, a good singing foundation is, and I'll give you some examples. So I'm going to sing a little bit of an aria, which is just a fancy Italian word for song from an opera. And kind of go through how I would self-assess after I sing the aria, going back, working on trouble spots. But first, I'm going to take you through the 3 tiers of really great vocal technique. So if you're a soloist or you want to sing by yourself, this is definitely something I recommend, is going to a teacher to develop a great foundation so that you can sing anything you want. I sing music theater, I sing jazz, I sing lots of different things. Opera is not the only thing I do. And the technique that I have established for myself as a singer has allowed me to sing a variety of things and to do it in a healthy way so I'm not losing my voice. So we're going to jump in now and do a little bit, work through those 3 things. I'm going to give you some examples of exercises you can do to work on those things. So we're going to do that now. Okay, so I always teach, and for myself, I always work within 3 tiers of vocal technique. And for me, that starts with breathing, and then tension reduction. I'll explain what that means. And then vowels, which would be under the category of clarity and resonance. Again, I'll explain what that means too. So let's start with breathing. It is the core thing that you have to learn how to do in order to have a great vocal technique. So I'm going to lead you through just the basics right now because we're going to move quickly so we can get to the singing. Everyone put a hand right where your belly button is and another hand right on your, right below your rib cage. So find your rib cage right there at the very bottom. And all I want you to do is take a breath where your lower abdomen is puffing out. So take that kind of breath. And if you feel like you're breathing up here, you're going to feel your shoulders expand. That's not the breath we want. We want it to be nice and low. That's where we get the most air, most bang for your buck when it comes to air. So take a low belly breath again. Feel everything puff out. And then when you breathe out, I want you to pay attention to a feeling of everything kind of coming back towards your spine, as if there's something pulling your belly button back towards your spine. That should be the natural response that your body has to letting air go. So do that again. Breathe in, feel it expand, and then contract as you breathe out. Great, one more time. Breathe in, and then breathe out. Great. So that's the most basic that I can teach you for proper breathing technique. And then there's a whole bunch of exercises that also go along with breathing. But that's the one that you need to know first, is how to expand when you breathe in and then slowly contract as you let air out. And what that's doing is providing all the air to come out through your voice. That way you can sing on your air. That's a phrase we use as singers to talk about how we're singing on the air, not inside our throats and straining there and not clamping down our jaws or straining our necks to hit a high note. We don't want to do any of that. We want to just use our air to ride on as our voice escapes our bodies. So that's the quickest version I can give you of what we need to do with our breathing. The next thing is tension reduction. So what that means is, as a singer, you primarily get tight in 3 places. Your neck. Sometimes we want to do this when we're stretching for a high note. We don't want to do that. Sometimes the jaw gets like, oh, really tight. It's clamping on notes, trying to help you sing the note or sustain the note. That gets really tight. And then the tongue, believe it or not, gets in our way all the time. It's the hardest one to find out if you're doing, but sometimes the tongue, which sits like this inside our mouth, while we're like reaching a high note or doing something difficult, will go and get right in our way. And if it's like this, can air really escape properly through my mouth? No, it really can't. And if it's like this, can air bounce around inside my mouth and make this resonant, vibrant sound? No, not really. So we want to pay attention to all three of those things. And those things are tense. So that's why we call it tension reduction. We're trying to reduce how much we're experiencing those things. So I'm going to just lead you through one of the easiest exercises you can do. There are two versions of this. You can either do it with your lips, or bonus, you can do it with your tongue. So the lip trill is what it's called, and we'll be doing that today on a little sliding two-note exercise like this. So if you can't lip trill, this might be not the exercise for you, so forgive me if you're not able to do this, but most people can. We're just putting our lips together and then blowing air through them. Kind of like you were bored and you're like, right? So we're doing that, but we're doing it on pitches. And the reason this is a good tension reduction exercise is you don't have to use a lot in order to make this sound. You're warming up your voice without having to sing on a vowel or using any consonants that might get in your way and produce some tension. So this should be an easy breezy, all you gotta use is your air to create this sound. Now the other way to do it, which is the bonus, which is even better, is if you can do it with your tongue. So if you're around others, you're gonna wanna put a spit guard up, because you do spit in this exercise. It's the same thing as a lip trill, but you're gonna stick your tongue out and then you're gonna flutter your tongue instead of fluttering your lips. So the same principle, you're gonna stick your tongue out, your lips are wrapped around it, and you're just passing pressurized air over, and it makes your tongue flutter. So same exercise, but just doing your tongue out. In fact, that's the version I'm gonna do. So you can do a lip trill, or you can do the tongue trill. Here we go, we're just gonna do a couple of these. That was the lip trill, now tongue trill. One more. And the reason that's a good tension reducer for your tongue when you're doing the tongue trill is you're loosening the tongue. It's flapping around in the air and you're signaling to your brain we don't need our tongue to help us sing the thing that we're about to work on. So those are two of my favorites for tension reduction. Also, you can do things like some neck rolls, massage your neck, massage right here on the back, do some really gentle, slow figure eights. Those kinds of things, also just stretching it out. It's really great to reduce tension. So last thing in those three tiers of vocal technique is clarity and resonance. And what I mean by that is your face, in fact your whole body, is a resonator. And a resonation means that there's air bouncing around and it's creating a loud or soft sound. So is not a resonant sound. It's stuck inside my mouth, it's not shooting out, there isn't much air supporting it. Now this, is a very resonant sound. And it's not about it being loud, I could do it soft too. You can still hear the vibration. That's what we're going for. Now as young singers, you'll have way less vibration than me. I'm an adult, and with your young bodies, it won't sound like there's a ton of fluttering going on. That's normal, totally okay. But you can still be on your air and using your air to your best advantage to really get your sound out. So a few things we can do for that, some vowel work. So you know your vowels, A, E, O, U, right? So in singing, we want to do it in a way that is really tall and lengthy inside our faces, which we call the mechanism for some reason. And we want that space on the inside to feel like there's a tree in there. Oh, like it's just branching up inside our heads, and there's all this space. So we have this imaginary little space in the back of our mouths that we fill up and make tall, and then we use our air to then send it out of our bodies. So right now we're just going to do some simple vowel exercises to try that feeling out. So I'm going to do E-O. First two notes are E, and the rest are Ah. Here we go. E-O. 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 Think about releasing that sound. E-O. And connecting it with your air. E-O. E-O. Last one. E-O. And let's do a few more. E-O. E-O. Let's go higher. E-O. And then for fun, just to show you, I'm a kind of soprano, which is the highest voice for girls, that does a lot of quick and high singing. So if I was warming up for a aria, something I was singing that maybe was high, I'd do some more scales. So Z, Z, any combination. Z, That's just a fun example of the kinds of things you can do when you're an adult and your voice has come in and you're grown and you have all this technique to fall back on in order to make that sound nice and healthy. Okay, that was the quickest version I could think of to lead you through some of my technique and the things that I teach my students. And now I'm going to give you an example of some classic music, an aria, a bit of one, and I'll show you kind of how I use some of those techniques to make that happen. Okay, I am not a very good pianist. I'm just going to say that right now before we start. I'm probably going to mess up, and that's okay, because I'm a singer, not a pianist. I'm just going to play some simple chords along with myself as I sing this aria from La Fille de Régiment. It's called Chacun le sait. It's in French. And basically what's happening in this song is Marie in this opera has been adopted by a whole regiment of soldiers, French soldiers. They found her as a baby. And in this scene, she's grown up and she's trying to raise their spirits because they're feeling kind of sad that they haven't fought in a long time, and they haven't had a girlfriend in a long time, and she's trying to make them feel better. So that's what this song is, and I'm going to do my best to play it for you here, okay? Here we go. La 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 la. La 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 la. Chacun le sait, chacun le dit, le régiment par excellence de ceux-là qui l'enfance chrétienne play the piano for myself while I'm singing opera. I even made a few mistakes. It's okay. Okay guys, so I'm gonna give you a demonstration of now what I would do. Let's see, I was just practicing this piece, which I kind of am. I haven't sung this song in a while. And I'm gonna go back now after I sang through it and think, what could I have done a little bit better? And I'm just gonna pick a couple examples. So I didn't love this one part right at the beginning, so I'm thinking, that's kind of hard. That pitch, you're starting out of nowhere. I'm just starting right on it. So I think to myself, I'm gonna use some of my tools, and one of them is clarity and resonance. And there's an exercise where I take a little breath that sounds like a snore. I know it sounds ridiculous, but what I'm doing is I'm lifting a part of my inner mouth, it's called the soft palate, and I'm placing the vowel in that spot that's now been lifted, and then I have more space, so. And now I have like more resonance happening there. I don't feel like I'm just hitting that note. So that's an example of what I would do. I go back and I think to myself, that wasn't so free, I felt a little tight, and I could go back to some of my high notes and be like, I could sing that high note better, let's work on it. So let's work on that high note at the end, why not? So to kind of think about where that got tough was maybe I was tight in my neck, and so it wasn't as released, so I'm gonna do a little bit of this when I sing it, and I want there to be lots of air support. So before I sing it, I'm gonna go back and just put it on a tongue trill. So there's that ending. I'm gonna tongue trill the whole thing and kind of loosen up my neck. Here we go. My breath was not really fully under that phrase when I sang it, because even now, while I was tongue trilling it, it was getting a little tough and I was feeling a little stuck. So that's a great indicator of what was going on. So now, I give myself some room since I'm sitting. It's harder to sing when you're sitting. And now I'm going to try it again and release my neck and try to find some better breath before that high note. Here we go, take two. Yeah, totally better than the first time I did it. So often, we have to go back when we're practicing and check in with some things that didn't feel right. This time, I felt loose. I didn't feel like I was holding on to the note with my jaw. Remember we talked about tension? And I very subtly did a little bit of this. You may have not even really noticed it, but I was very subtly moving my head back and forth to try to release. And as you can see, I brought my hands to my face to check that my jaw wasn't clenched. So sometimes you can just bring your knuckles right here. As you can see, I was even going like this. That's a great way just to check in. If you can shift your jaw around while you're singing a high note, then you know you're not clamping onto that note. If I wasn't able to move my jaw just then, I would know I'm tensing up in order to sing that note. So that's an example for you. I know it's quick, but we don't have a ton of time. So I just wanted to show you what's possible with having really great technique. The more I work on my technique, and I'm never done, even though I'm a teacher and I have students, I'm still working myself on technique. It's an ongoing process. You're never done with music. You're always learning. So as I'm continuing to work on my voice, I'm protecting my voice by having this kind of strong technique. All right, guys. Next up, I'm going to sing something a little different just to show you that I don't just sing opera. My voice technique works for all sorts of genres, and that's next. All right, guys, to close our time today, I know it was quick, but I want to squeeze in a few more things. I'm going to play a song from Disney's Toy Story. You might recognize it. It's You've Got a Friend in Me. It's a totally different style than what I just sang. I want to demonstrate to you that with a really great vocal technique, you can do any type of music you want. So, totally different now. You've Got a Friend in Me. And then we're going to close our time together. Here we go. You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles from your nice warm bed, just remember what your old pal said. Son, you've got a friend in me. Yeah, you've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. You got troubles then, I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We stick together, we can see it through, 'cause you've got a friend in me. Yeah, you've got a friend in me. And as the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. Oh, you've got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. Thanks for joining me, guys. I hope this was a fun little snippet of what you can do when you have really great voice technique. And to get it, you work with a private voice teacher or you work with a trusted musician that you know to help you develop. And they really should include breathing, tension reduction, and clarity and resonance work. Those three things are going to allow you to sing for the rest of your life. Have a great day, guys. Enjoy Opera Camp, and I'm going to see you Thursday. Bye.